It is championship time for NCAA Division I cross country, and now that the regional meets are over, we have a very good idea of not only who's going to be on the starting line, but who has a legitimate shot to actually get to the finish line ahead of everybody else and walk away with hardware when it's over. Last year, both Graham Blanks of Harvard and Parker Valby of Florida won the individual titles in races that were never really that close, at least if you actually watched them. This season, only one of them is coming back. So, at the very least, the women's side is wide open because Caitlin Toohey and Parker Valby ain't showing up, which is great for the rest of the field because they technically had more eligibility. They just didn't choose to use it. All that being said, I am aware that ESPN and all their friends in the media probably aren't going to tell you anything about the Cross Country National Championship, at least not until the meet itself is actually airing on their platform. You're not even going to hear about it on a ticker at the bottom of a TV screen while watching a college football game. It's so far out of sight, out of mind, that until anybody else decides to actually give it any real attention, I'll be honest, it seems like all you really got is you're stuck here with me. And hopefully that is not a bad thing, because I actually care about the sport and even was a head coach in NCAA cross country. So yes, I have a pretty good idea of what is really going on out there. So with that in mind, let's have a very real conversation about the NCAA championship meet for Division I cross country. A complete breakdown on both the men's and the women's sides, because somebody's going to become a national champion after that meet is over. And once they do, it is going to validate every single mile they have put in throughout the summer and beyond, because they have definitely run a whole lot of them, even if ESPN and all their friends in the media don't plan on paying much attention. Believe it or not, two of the biggest dynasties in all of Division I athletics happen to run cross country. It's Northern Arizona on the men's side and NC State on the women's side. Both of those programs are going to be represented at the NCAA championship meet, but I don't expect either of them to come back with national titles this time. But if you're new here, I want to say thank you for even making it this far into the video. And I'm Coach Rob, the founder of SCArecruiting.com, where I rank the best track and field recruits across the entire nation. And if anything that I say actually connects with you, it is always greatly appreciated if you would please like and subscribe. But if I don't, just let me know in the comment section, because I try to read them all. So starting off on the women's side, let's talk about who actually will. As far as the teams go, BYU is looking pretty tough. They won their region and beat NAU, who is very legit. But that race was pretty close. So I'll be honest, based off the regional performances, I'm not entirely sure that BYU is officially really the favorite going into the championship meet. Yet Oregon is the class of the field out of the West region, so you definitely can't count them out. But the team that I'm going to throw out there that nobody's really paying attention to, and yeah, I could be wrong on this, but I doubt it, is West Virginia. We don't really hear them talked about in national championships in just about any sport, but they're going to be there. And there's a reason why they were ranked inside the top 5 heading into the regional championship meet. And then they ran away with their region because ain't nobody in the Mid-Atlantic stopping them. I do have to give you one sleeper team that you probably wouldn't even notice, because it does look like Lipscomb University is going to sneak onto the starting line. They were at the Nationals last year and finished 11th overall. For the record, they are in the Atlantic Sun Conference, which they ran away with again, might I add. And if they show up again this year, forget about everything else. Remember, it's just one race for the crown. And I'm pretty sure going top 10 this year has to be still one of their goals. And as far as I can tell, the race for the individual title is completely a toss-up because Parker Valby isn't there. And what Florida went out and did is they found themselves a front runner. And when I say found, I mean they transferred somebody in who was a front runner for another team. There were only 2 women last season who finished inside the top 5 and are coming back to compete in this year's national championship. Both of them ran for Alabama. But I said ran, past tense, because one of them now competes for Florida. So Hilda Olamomoy, now representing the Gators, has just as good a shot as anyone to win the national title. But her old teammate Doris Lemongole is clearly going to be right there, and also competed with her. They went 1-2 in their region. But I'm convinced that Amy Bunnage of Stanford and Salem McCabe of West Virginia will be able to make it interesting. The race for the individual title is wide open. Parker Valby's not in the field, neither is Caitlin Toohey, and that means we have no real idea who is going to win this one. Moving on to the men's side, when it comes to the team title, I'm going to be 100% honest with you about how I see this going. BYU is officially the real deal. They compete in the most competitive region for cross country in the nation. I don't think that's up for debate anymore. And they won it. They beat NAU and New Mexico, who of course are still going to be on the starting line. Because of that, I expect them to win the national title. But last year's champion was Oklahoma State, and they are still looking very legit because they won their region as well. The only difference is nobody else in that region was anywhere near as good. Don't get me wrong, Iowa State did threaten them. I'm just not convinced that Oklahoma State took that threat very seriously. The only other team I'm going to name as a frontrunner is Arkansas, because they busted up their region something fierce, just being real with it. All the other power conference teams who are gonna show up to the national meet are just gonna beat each other up. Of course, somebody's gonna get top 5, and some other teams are gonna go top 10 or whatever else. But the names of the teams really don't matter that much. But I do have to say this part. Wake Forest came into their region expected as one of the top 5 teams in the nation. Of course, I'm not the one who's doing the rankings. And they did not perform like that at all in their region. But the team that did show up and went top 3 when they got there was Eastern Kentucky, who I tried to tell you some weeks ago is legit. I always keep an eye out for teams from small conferences whom nobody really pays attention to. Eastern Kentucky is that team on the men's side this year. They've been like that from the time the season has started. So yes, if they found a way to get themselves in the top 10, I would not be surprised. But when it comes to the individual title on the men's side, it's actually pretty interesting. Because guess who's coming back to running this one? Graham Blanks of Harvard. He is the reigning national champion for a reason. Just like Parker Valby, he won the national title in cross country and then, immediately indoors, broke the indoor NCAA record in the 5K. Once again, just like Parker Valby did. Now that he is back, running in another national title, I see no reason to treat anybody else as the favorite as long as he is on the starting line. But yes, there will be some competition. It's going to come from a unique place. So the biggest challenger that I see across any team in the entire nation is Solomon Kipchoge of Texas Tech. He's technically a freshman, but that doesn't matter because he came out of the same region with BYU, NAU, and New Mexico, and he beat Hampton Samuel in order to win that regional. So clearly, he is legit. Graham Blanks apparently said last year that the smartest man in the race was going to win. So he might be that person. We just have to watch him go out and prove it again. I apologize in advance to the men of NAU, as well as the women of NC State, because as I said before, I don't see a world where either of them are going to win a national title this year, or on top of that, even go top 2, which for those teams is what they do, just not now. In the past decade, NAU has won more titles than I can even count off the top of my head. And remember, they've been doing this out of the Big Sky Conference. But NC State had just gone back-to-back as the national champion in cross country. But this year, another team is going to be wearing that championship crown. What I love about cross country is that it comes down to one race. Everybody out there running for their team, where every placement actually matters. Because the women's race last year was won by 1 point. So you can place your bets on whom you think will win. Just remember, in cross country, only the strong survive. And if you do, you earn yourself a trophy to back it up. In the sport of track and field, confidence is everything. Because when you win, that is just the moment when everybody else finds out what you already knew to be true. that fast is a lifestyle. Get your Fast is a Lifestyle track and field gear at scarecruiting.com/shop or use the link in the description below. It's a huge support to me and this channel, so I can continue to make you more content like this. And remember, it is always greatly appreciated if you would please like and subscribe.